This is Enyimba FM News on Enyimba 94.3 FM. Abba. Good evening. The headlines. Federal government renames some federal airports after several notable Nigerians. Speaker of House of Representatives makes case for rule of law to fight against corruption. Governor Roti sets up panel to recover stolen government property. These and other stories plus foreign, entertainment and sports shortly. My name is Michael Oni. We begin this evening in Abuja, where President Bola Tinubu-led federal government has renamed some federal airports after several notable Nigerians. This is according to a memo by the Federal Minister of Aviation dated 1st of June 2023 and signed by Mrs. Joke Olatunji for the Director of Airport Operations. The statement made available to Enyimba FM noted that the President renamed the airports as part of reforms of the aviation sector. The Maiduguri Airport was renamed after the immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari, and the Port Harcourt Airport after the late nationalist Obafemi Awolowo, while the Nasarawa Airport immortalized the late founder of Sokoto Caliphate, Usman Dan Fodio. Also, the Benin Airport was renamed after the late Oba of Benin, Oba Akezua II, Ebonyi Airport after the late Senate President Chuba Okadibo, and the Ibadan Airport after the late Premier of the Old Western Region, Ladoke Akintola. Vice President Kashim Shettima has decorated the newly appointed Acting Controller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Adewale Adeniyi. A statement by the Director of Information at the Office of the Vice President, Olushola Abiola, indicated that Shettima decorated the new Acting Controller General at the Presidential Villa today. The Vice President expressed the belief that the appointment would bring about changes in the activities of the service. According to the Vice President, with the appointment of Adeniyi, the Nigeria Customs Service will be an embodiment of professionalism, thereby encouraging and opening opportunities for staff to reach the apex of their career. The newly decorated Acting Controller General, Adewale Adeniyi, who appreciated President Bola Tinubu for his appointment, said the service would experience immense transition and be more effective in its running. Federal government says 126 stranded Nigerians consisting of children and students have been evacuated from Sudan as the crisis in the country continues. The returnees were received by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, among others. Speaking while receiving the returnees, Mustafa Ahmed, Director General of the agency, said the federal government has made arrangements for more Nigerians to be repatriated from Sudan. Ahmed, represented by Onimode Bandele, the NEMA Director of Special Duties, said the project was among those inherited from the previous administration.
And the success we are seeing today is because the federal government supported us, and the DG of NEMA, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, has been on top of the situation.
I thank the federal government of Nigeria, Dr. Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Welcome back to Nigeria now safely.
The Federal Road Safety Commission, FRSC, has commenced a 6-day special operations for effective traffic control during the Eid al-Kabir. Addressing newsmen in Abuja, the Corps Marshal Dauda Aliubiu said the operation is to also curb road crashes and avoidable traffic gridlocks on the highway. The Corps Marshal consequently directed the mobilization of adequate logistics and personnel to enhance visibility and guarantee safe travels for all road users before, during, and after the celebrations. He also mandated all formations to ensure reduction in road traffic crashes, road traffic fatalities, and road traffic injuries, and also prompt response to road traffic crash victims, engagement of robust public education and enlightenment, and speedy removal of obstructions from the highway, among others. Center for Transparency Advocacy, a non-profit, non-governmental organization, is tasking stakeholders to remain steadfast in preserving the integrity of Nigeria's democracy. The executive director of the organization, Ms. Faith Nwadishi, made this call at a one-day stakeholders roundtable on the 2023 general elections, while emphasizing the importance of putting the challenges encountered during the last election into context. Nwadishi urged stakeholders to remain committed to the sustenance of democracy. She also said that even though there were hurdles faced during the electoral process, Nigerians should focus on the positives that emerged from the elections and ensure they were sustained.
The fact that we have an election where the winner came up with 8 million votes and the following votes were 6 million, altogether putting say about 50 million votes, means that we are now having the real people who are voting in the country.
Why are we talking about those things that didn't go well and not giving credit for the things that went excellently well?
Well, the former Minister of Aviation, Osita Chidoka, is calling on President Bola Tinubu to take action regarding the conduct of the Independent National Electoral Commission and its chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, following the last general elections. Chidoka, in a Monitor television interview, charged the president to swiftly do to Professor Yakubu what was done to the former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele. The chieftain of the People's Democratic Party and ally to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar said the president ought to remove Yakubu just as he suspended Emefiele and initiate a probe into the INEC and its chairman's operations, especially within the last polls.
The way he went after the CBN governor is the way I think he should have set up a panel to look into the INEC. Yes, because you see, he has won the election. They've declared him winner. The courts are going on. And we are watching carefully what's going to happen in the courts. Because you see, when there is national consensus behind a leader, this pales into insignificance. This is unimportant because here I can see every zone is appointed. But with the challenge that has come with the election, with the deeply divided election, the president must always remember that he ended up with 30-something% of the voters. So it's a minority majority. 60-something% of the voters said no. So in trying to win back the people's confidence in our electoral process, in trying to win back our people's trust, that what matters is who do Nigerians want to elect. And once we elect him, we will trust him.
Chidoka also urged President Tinubu to remove charges on bank transfers and facilitate the reduction in the monthly contributions to pension schemes by workers as a measure to cushion the hardship caused by the removal of fuel subsidy to Nigerians. Well, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, says unless Nigeria strengthens her rule of law and the fight against corruption, the country would not go anywhere. He said the law of the land must be worked in such a way that both the big and the small are treated the same way to give everyone a sense of justice and fairness. Speaker Abbas spoke at a reception organized in his honor by the Nigeria High Commission in London. While speaking on the war against corruption, the speaker said the country's anti-corruption drive must also be strengthened for meaningful progress to be recorded. Former governor of Bauchi State, Issa Yuguda, says up until the time of its removal, the fuel subsidy has mostly been a scam run by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC, in conjunction with marketers and other stakeholders in the oil sector. Yuguda, who also was former Minister of State for Transport, disclosed this in a Monitor television interview. Well, according to him, he was privileged to serve as the chairman of the subcommittee between 2008 and 2009 under the economic meltdown period, and he chaired the committee on subsidy where everything about the scam from the initiative was discovered. He further stated that the removal of subsidy has long been discussed and is long overdue. However, previous governments did not have the political will to implement the removal of subsidy.
The bulk of these products are smuggled out of this country. Then who is subsidizing who? But I'm telling you, it can be very frustrating in Nigeria to implement policies, especially where there are entrenched interests and a cabal that exists. Just similar to what you have as this bunkering issue. Something not, it can be stopped, but you can't stop it. It can be stopped, but The political will to stop it is not there. There are so many interests that are involved there, and that's what is leading Nigeria to where we are today. That at a point in time during the Jonathan regime, I know we hardly were pumping up to 1 million barrels a day, and the prices kept crashing. Then how do you manage the economy that is dependent on oil? So the subsidy regime, like I said, should have gone way back in 2012, 2013.
Well, former governor of Bauchi State, Issa Yaguda there. And now to one of our headline stories. Abia State Governor Dr. Alex Otti has set up a judicial panel of inquiry to recover government properties and funds allegedly looted during past administrations in Abia State. Secretary to the state government, Professor Kenneth Kalu, who disclosed the setting up of the panel in a statement, listed Justice Florence Ikwoma Duroha Igwe as the chairman, while members include Professor Ogwo Ekwoma Ogwo, Mazi Ugochukwu Okorafo, Reverend Father Alex Okonkwo, and Professor Usola Ngozi Akanwa. The SSG explained that the terms of reference of the panel and the date of inauguration would be made known to the chairman of the panel. Enyimba FM recalled that Dr. Otti had, in a week after his inauguration, urged those in possession of government properties to return them to the government. Well, Abia State Governor Dr. Alex Otti is directing the payment of fees accruing to all state-owned nursing midwifery institutions to designated bank accounts. This is according to a statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Kazie Uko, made available to Enyimba FM. The statement directed general public, especially parents, guardians, and students of all the state-owned nursing and midwifery institutions to pay all fees through the bank to a designated UBA account that will be found in the acting principal's office of each institution starting from the 27th of June 2023. The statement further directed that the cash payment made by or on behalf of any student outside this designated bank account will not be acceptable. You're listening to Enyimba FM News. The news continues shortly with foreign, entertainment, and sports. Stay tuned. Well, thank you so much for staying tuned. You're listening to Enyimba FM News. On the foreign scene, Moscow made an effort to portray a return to business as usual after a weekend mutiny by mercenary troops threatened to undermine Kremlin chief Vladimir Putin's grip on power. Putin did not personally address the crisis, but made a video speech to a youth forum dubbed the Engineers of the Future and praised industry for overcoming severe external challenges. The Kremlin said that Putin had spoken to Iran's President Ebrahim Raisi by phone and had received Tehran's full support in connection with the mutiny. Putin also received a call from Qatar's Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, who also expressed his backing. Before we go, let's look at the headlines again. President Bola Tinubu-led federal government has renamed some federal airports after several notable Nigerians. Benin Airport was renamed after the late Oba of Benin, Oba Akezua II, Ebonyi Airport after the late Senate President Chuba Okadibo, and the Ibadan Airport after the late Premier of the Old Western Region, Ladoke Akintola, among others. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, has said unless Nigeria strengthens her rule of law and the fight against corruption, the country would not go anywhere. We also told you that Abia State Governor Dr. Alex Otti has set up a judicial panel of inquiry to recover government properties and funds allegedly looted during past administrations in the state. For more stories, you can visit www.enyimbafm.com. To report events or news around you, please text or WhatsApp 0814-993-0596, 0814-993-0596, or send an email to enyimbafmnews@gmail.com. This bulletin was produced, edited, and brought to you by Michael Oni. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.